All right, here we are, Jet fans, as we are just minutes away from the New York Jets first round selection at number 4. Jan Levine joining me here on Jets FM on the OFN. And it's not surprising. It happens all the time. And already mock drafts have been tossed aside with Derek Stingley, who, by the way, just a couple of years ago was expected to be a top 3 pick. That's how good he is. So Houston decides to go that route, and that now opens up the door for the Jets to take Kayvon Thibodeau if, in fact, the Jets want to go with an edge rusher with their first pick.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about it a little bit earlier today, right? We thought that we could see 3 defensive linemen going first. I think we all thought that Trayvon Walker would potentially go number 1. Number 2, I'm not sure. I think Detroit may have set a new land speed record in terms of getting the pick in. I think they waited, somebody joked, 1.3 seconds before they handed the card in. So they clearly had Hutchinson targeted to keep it home in Michigan. But as you mentioned, the Texans are the ones who went maybe slightly off the board given all the mock drafts and all the discussions and everything else. I mean, most drafts, I think, had Stingley going in the 8-9 range, somewhere in that range. Now he goes number 3. And as you mentioned, fun part becomes is which direction do the Jets go in? Is it Kayvon Thibodeau at 4? Is it Sauce Gardner, who's got the biggest bling I think I've ever seen coming into a draft? If people haven't seen what he's wearing around his neck, they probably should go take a look at it because it's huge. Do they go with the unicorn in Hamilton, as we discussed earlier? Or do they maybe go with one of the offensive linemen that we discussed, right? So there's about 6-7 options, none of which I think would be a bad pick. It's just a matter of, what Joe Douglas wants and what Robert Saleh might convince him that he says he wants.
There's only one difference. The Jets have known for weeks pretty much that at least 2 edge rushers were going to go. So they know what they're doing. They've known what they were going to do for weeks. And so now they're just sitting there. And, maybe I have no idea if they're just going to wait and find out whether or not anybody wants to make a move up. That's always possible because they're still on the clock. And by the way, this is a little bit strange, but now I'm not sure. I haven't followed this before, but you are actually getting the picks online through, how are you getting the picks?
Twitter.
Okay, Twitter.
All
Twitter is actually getting the picks.
All those guys are posting it.
Yeah, and up to like almost 5 minutes before they're posting it on television.
Always works that way.
Well,
it always works that way. I've been to the draft a bunch of times and it was in New York, and you would find out well before the pick was made. I mean, the networks don't like it, but that's kind of the way it's worked, right? I mean, you looked about last year, right? If those who followed the basketball draft, Woj used to use couch language. So he could never say they picked, but it's they have interest in, they're leaning towards, they're whatever language you want to talk about. He used to use all this different euphemistic language for they're taking this guy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird to me why it would take that long to go from, all right, we know we've got our pick, we have to call it in so they can write it down and give it to the commissioner. Why does that take so long?
It doesn't. It's TV. It's TV that does this. I mean, you see, because at the draft, the actual shows sometimes the green room in the back, right? And you can see them you can see the draftees getting sometimes, they used to do it, don't do it anymore.
And they're on the phone.
The phone calls,
yeah,
right?
They're on the phone.
So you would be the phone. It was a pretty good indication that they're going to go with the next pick, right? I mean, that's pretty much how it works.
And that's why at least, I remember a few years ago, they were doing a terrible job because they were basically doing almost like what Twitter was doing. Don't be looking at your phone. Get away from the phone.
No, I'm just saying
get away from the phone.
I'm just saying
don't look at the phone.
Remember, the whole advent of Twitter now is that people want the information quicker, right? I mean, look.
No, I know. I know that. What I'm saying is that at least the ESPN has changed because a couple of years ago they basically went that way. Like they would be telling everybody who the pick was before the commissioner said it. And it was terrible. Right. People hated it. It's like, what are you doing? There's no drama. I'm just surprised it takes this long. But like you said, this is the aggravating part because they're just milking it. And now we got to go to a commercial. And chances are the Jets have already given their pick in, and now we're just gonna have to sit here for another 4 or 5 minutes if we don't want to go on Twitter and check it out.
Look, the Walker pick was in relatively quick. I don't think Jacksonville took the full 10 minutes to put the Walker pick in, right? And the Lions pick was in about a split second. So for all we know, the NFL came to the Jets and said, look, we got to sell. We have commercial time we have to sell. Just go ahead and milk it for a little while longer. Use like 8 or 9 minutes as opposed to the 3 or 4 you might normally use. Yeah. And let us like help the sponsors out so we can pay for all this.
Okay, so again, we're assuming it's going to be either Thibodeau. I'm going to say, look, I think most people have Neal, but over Ekwonu, but it could go either way. So it's either going to be offensive tackle with Neal Ekwonu, Thibodeau, or Gardner. That's pretty much, or Hamilton, excuse me.
Right, so
and they have four players.
Right, now I would seem to, right, and again, don't think you can go wrong with any of them, right? Look, Gardner is clearly the number one cornerback. Thibodeau is probably the third defensive lineman, though you could argue, again, it depends on preference, right? Neal is probably the number one, maybe offensive lineman, right? So it's kind of hard to say you go wrong. Who do I want? I would like to, given based on needs, I would like the defensive lineman. If they don't go defensive line, I think they're going Gardner.
So who do you want?
I said I want the defensive lineman first.
Okay, so you want Thibodeau.
And Gardner second.
So I
want Thibodeau.
Okay.
Correct. But I will admit there are more questions with Thibodeau than with Gardner.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. But fact is, it's funny how they all shake everybody's hands and yeah, baby, yeah. Guys, you've known what you were going to get here for the past 3 or 4 weeks.
So I can tell you, I went to the draft the year Ndamukong Suh was drafted, and I was sitting on the floor for the draft. And let me tell you, he may be the largest human being I have ever seen in my life. I mean, he was just immense.
All right, so you have
the pick in yet?
No. So I'll let you know when it's closed. I'll let you know when he's at the podium. So
okay.
What's interesting now is with Stingley moving up in the draft, that now means that the Giants are now sweating bullets because that there's no doubt they want a Gardner. They still could get him, but now the chances of them getting Gardner are a lot slimmer.
It's now become a 50-50 shot as opposed to a heck of a lot better shot than it would have been before.
They're still getting one of their offensive linemen, but now, the idea...
Well, they have 5 and 7, right? So I put it this way, if Gardner goes 4, could you see them taking Hamilton?
No.
Why?
They need an offensive lineman right away, and I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted 2 of them.
Well, they have the 7th pick also.
All right, here we go. Here comes the pick. And I'm just going to have to see it because I don't even have the volume on. So the pick is Ahmad Gardner.
So let's go to the Giants pick for a second and come back. If you're the Giants, do you take Thibodeau?
Oh, I don't care.
Let's play pure speculation, right? Because we talked about it.
If this impacts who the Jets pick, I'm fine. Otherwise, I don't care. It's not a Giant show.
They have. Right, what I'm saying is they have 5 and 7. Let's see what they take. The Jets.
The Giants are picking an offensive lineman. There's no doubt about it. Now that Gardner's off the board.
Remember, they have 5 and 7. If they don't go offensive line here, they can still get an offensive lineman with the 7th pick.
Okay, so why do you keep wanting that? Why do you think that? Why do you keep? Because every time we've talked about this before, you keep thinking or acting like the general manager would prefer. Oh, just because there's 3 guys, I'll take the 2nd or 3rd choice.
No.
You have the opportunity to take the best offensive lineman.
If I'm the Giants, I'm taking Neal.
Exactly. Probably. And if he's the best guy, you take the best guy.
So let me ask you this way. I know your preference. I know my preference. Do you think, and I'll use the term in air quotes, did they make a mistake taking Gardner at 4, or is the upside of having a shutdown corner so great that it warranted passing on a potential 10 to 12 sack defensive lineman?
The only way that I would consider this a mistake, or not a mistake, because Gardner's going to be such a good player, it's not a mistake. The only thing that this would be an issue, pass rush wise, is if they don't take the pass rusher at 10. See, now I think this is opening the door where they're not going to go offensive line. And now they're going to get the opportunity to do exactly what we thought could happen is you take Jermaine Johnson.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
If he's there.
I would think he would be there. Yeah.
Well, again, right now, the first 4 have been skewed a little bit, right? Because most mocks had Gardner going 5.
Stingley's the only difference maker. It's the only change.
Most didn't have, right. So 3 and 4 are a variant from what all the mock drafts kind of spoke about. Most had Gardner going 5 and Stingley going in the 7 to 9 range.
Yeah, again, Stingley's the only difference. That's it. Just one.
Gardner's a difference too. We went a pick earlier than expected.
Why are we talking about this?
I'm just saying we talked about who's available later, right? So if the Giants take the offensive
again with
lineman,
the Giants, who I don't care about.
Let me finish. Then you have potentially 3 or 4 of the guys you expected to go. The only guy who slid is Thibodeau, where we don't know how far.
Yeah, it's early.
He could be there at 10.
I would say that if you look at what the teams are, you have the Giants. They're not going to need a Thibodeau compared to their other needs.
They're probably going to go offensive lineman and then 7. Who knows?
A lot's going to depend on whether Carolina takes Pickett now still. And if they take Pickett, that's a huge benefit for the Jets, say, if you're looking for Thibodeau to drop. Or Hamilton to drop. Because you still have...
If you're going Gardner, I don't know if you're going Gardner or Hamilton.
A completely different player. It has nothing to do with the cornerback.
I'm not arguing, but that would be one heck of an uplift to the defensive backfield. I'll tell you
absolutely. You could do that and then use one of your second round draft picks on an edge rusher because they're going to be edge rushers in the second round as well.
Right.
So you can still do that. So we're still waiting on the Giants. I don't know. I see some dude running around, but I don't see a name on the board.
So the guy from the Jets, this is what numbers he posted on Gardner. 4.41 speed, 9 interceptions, 2 picks, 6, missed 1 game in 3 years, only faced 2.9 targets. Eric Allen about Gardner.
What do you have to? You have this.
I know that, but I'm just saying this. Some of the stats are interesting though, right? 2.9 targets per game, 0 touchdowns in 1,103 coverage snaps.
I mean, again, Gardner's going to be an awesome player. There's no question about it. It's a great player to add to the secondary. And what really helps out is if you, again, look, I hope they get a pass rusher at some point. And if you get the pass rusher to go along with the number 1 corner, I mean, that's pretty awesome. So, you just got to land the right guy. So again, a lot's going to depend on, because if you're looking at Thibodeau and Hamilton, those are the 2 guys that the Jets could have been thinking at 4. Could they slip to 10? Okay. So the Giants, they're picking 1 offensive lineman with their 2 picks. If Carolina takes Pickett, the next question is, do they go wide receiver or quarterback, which are their 2 biggest needs?
They need a quarterback.
And they also need an edge rusher, but...
Already the quarterbacks.
I doubt they take Thibodeau. I just doubt it. I think they would go wide receiver or quarterback before they take Thibodeau.
Is the Giants pick in yet or no?
No. And in Seattle, they're desperate at offensive line. So the opportunity for Hamilton or Thibodeau to be there is real.
They're going to probably take Cross. Has been the projection the entire time, unless
it all depends.
One of the other 2 slip.
Again, nobody's gone yet, so 3 guys are left. It all depends if Carolina takes an offensive lineman.
We have to get you starting to follow Twitter to get these picks faster, or you're like woefully behind here.
Yeah, but it's not going to
start following Twitter.
It's just
there's no reason to watch on TV. We're not doing it in line with the TV here. I know who the Giants picked already.
I don't care. This isn't the Jets. I don't care. I haven't been telling you not to tell me.
The conversation. As part of the conversation, the pick's out there already.
To tell me.
Kayvon Thibodeau went 5 to the Giants.
All right. So the Giants went with an edge rusher at 5. Who's this goober?
So my view is they wanted Gardner. The Jets took Gardner, and they pivoted. 5 straight defensive guys to start the draft now.
So the Giants, I think, let's see. If I take a look at because overall draft needs for the Giants, their top 2 were corner and offensive line. And then after that...
Well, the 2 best corners went back to
And then after that, you have edge rusher. So edge rusher was their top, was one of their top 3. But They're going to get an offensive lineman after Carolina.
Right. You're gonna get Neal, or you're gonna get the kid out of NC State, right? If that's what you want, you'll get one of the two, and either one of them are a pretty good choice, presuming they go in that direction. Now comes the fun part of the draft, where what does Carolina do?
Yep. And we all hope they take Pickett.
Now the question, well, let's just
What do
say,
you mean, well?
if you were the Carolina GM, is Kenny Pickett a guy you're taking 6th overall?
You just got to keep in mind, though, the question is if they don't take him, then that means that they're going to make a trade for Garoppolo or Mayfield.
Right.
And if they do take him, then that means, because that's it. That's all it is. Because they don't have a pick till round 3. So that's why it's unfortunate. I'm sure they'd like to trade down. I mean, that's the likely scenario is that they trade down. Because they can add, because again, they do not have enough draft capital.
Well, here's my question. If you are a GM, well, let's say, who in the middle rounds do you think would trade up and give up enough, and would the target be a Hamilton at 6 for a GM?
I couldn't see.
Or is that too high?
Yeah, I could. No, I just don't think that.
Or is it if you need an offensive lineman, is an Evan Neal the guy who you're
I would
targeting?
say offensive lineman at this point because they're still on the board.
Okay.
And now with the 2 corners
There's 3
gone,
of them. There's 3 of them on the board.
Yeah. So now with the 2 corners gone, you have only one more edge rusher that should go in the top 15, you would think.
Johnson.
And that's so you got Johnson and you got Hamilton there. And if the Giants pick an offensive lineman, you think Seattle picks an offensive lineman. And Carolina, let's say they pick an offensive lineman or a quarterback. The only other team that could come into play is Atlanta. And again, they just need a wide receiver or a quarterback.
Unless somebody else trades up.
Actually, Atlanta does need an edge rusher too. So,
right.
I think the Jets might get Jermaine Johnson. It's very possible.
I have a feeling it's going to be Johnson. So it's going to be Johnson, Hamilton. I mean, I know you don't want a wide receiver.
Hamilton could definitely go 10 too, sure.
I know you don't want a wide receiver, but it wouldn't shock me if a wide receiver they took. I got to be honest with you. If Johnson and if Hamilton are both gone, don't be shocked if Douglas trades down.
Well, that all depends on whether or not they want the offensive lineman.
If both of those guys are gone,
Johnson and Hamilton, it all depends on whether or not he wants the offensive lineman.
Or if he thinks that if the big 2 go, that Cross is worthy of the pick at 10.
Well, again, no. He is. So it's just a matter of, like you said, if Hamilton's gone and if Johnson's gone, and they don't want the offensive lineman, no matter who it is, then yes, I could definitely see them wanting to trade down. Unless, if they don't trade down, then maybe they go wide receiver.
And are you taking London?
If he doesn't go to Atlanta,
or you taking the kid out of Alabama.
I'd prefer to take the chance on him. Yeah.
He may not be ready to October,
okay.
But the upside potential is
We're a
huge.
rebuilding team, so I don't care. I'll wait.
Well, you have 4 high picks this year. Sooner or later, you need to flip the script and stop saying, hopefully you're a rebounding team, right? And the goal is these 4 guys should be starters. The 4 guys you get in the top 40 or 38 should be starters this year for you.
Well, I don't know about starters. I mean, it all depends if they pick a receiver.
Depth. Okay, he may be a starter though. They can go 4 wide at times.
I mean, look, starter, he'll get a lot of reps. Yes, whether or not he's the 4th guy getting reps or the 3rd, it doesn't matter. He'll get enough reps.
Right. Okay.
I don't know about.
Right, but if you're taking it,
I mean, offensive lineman, who knows? Again, it would be a battle between 2 other guys, so he may not start right away. Hamilton obviously will start right away.
As you said earlier, right? If that happens, the expectation is that he's gotten beaten out by 2 guys who have upped their game in order to be able to maintain their spots.
So did Carolina pick yet?
Not as far as I've seen yet. Oh, yes, they did. The Carolina Panthers at 6 Bulls. You're going to pass on a QB and take NC State offensive tackle Ike Ekwonu.
Okay, so there goes the first offensive lineman off the board. And so that means that
Evan Neal is likely going to the Giants.
Neal will be with the Giants. So then Atlanta still could pick a wide receiver, and now they're definitely not taking Hamilton. So Hamilton starts to drop, and Seattle's definitely not taking Hamilton.
Nope.
So he could be available for the Jets at 10 now.
That.
And then if they get the edge rusher in the second round, imagine what kind of draft that is if you can get Gardner, Hamilton, and an edge rusher with one of your top second round picks.
Then you might be taking an offensive lineman or a wide receiver in the second round.
Sure, along with the edge rusher. So yeah. That's why either way it worked out.
This has been an interesting draft so far because I would have thought Neal would have gone before Ekwonu.
Actually, and this is good for future reference. Now that Vegas is actually providing odds on picks, you could check them out, 24 hours before the draft and get information because already two things have happened that have gone their way. They had Walker as the guy, and they had, and they were saying as far as the top 4 guys that could go to Jacksonville, it was Walker, Hutchinson, Ekwonu was 4-1, Neal was 20-1.
Interesting.
So and Ekwonu winds up going before Neal. So now next year, I'm taking a look at Vegas.
And you're betting that way?
Well, no, I'm just going to use that for my advantage whenever we're talking and say, hey, here's the projection of where these guys are going.
Earlier. So where do they have Gardner vis-a-vis the Jets, though? What were the odds on that?
No, I didn't. I didn't get that. All I dove down in was initially who was the top pick, and they just
if the Giants really want Neal, right? They should have had that card ready already.
This would be the big, if they don't get Cross or Neal, this would be the biggest shocker of the draft.
Could they go wide receiver?
Over an offensive lineman? This would be the biggest shocker of the draft.
I'm not arguing with you, but you have to admit they need wide receivers.
No, I don't have to admit that over an offensive lineman. Seriously, if you take a look at the Giants' top 3.
No, I'm saying, let me rephrase that. They also need wide receivers.
But offensive lineman is a huge hole.
I agree.
So that's why it would be a shock. Ryan Dunleavy would be...
As we've also seen, the Giants have not had much luck with their offensive line selection.
Well, this is a different regime now.
Right.
So, first time general manager making his first pick for the Giants, and he goes with Thibodeau, and now you would think he'll go offensive line. Boy, they don't even have Carolina's pick in yet.
It's funny. You lost Gettleman, and guess what they're going with? They're going with the Hog Mollies, which would be ironic if that's what it ends up being. Wasn't that Gettleman's favorite statement? Got to have the Hog Mollies on the offensive and defensive line.
Boy, yep. Well, Kenny Pickett's
not
going
to have
He's going to have a long wait now.
You don't think Atlanta's taking Pickett at 8?
Honestly, I think if Atlanta chooses a quarterback, they're morons.
I
think they need to take one of the guys next year.
I agree.
This is perfect for Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh, unless they're stupid enough to trade up, can sit there at 20 and get one of these 2 quarterbacks.
And the rumor is they want Pickett.
So
if they don't take Pickett, they may take Willis.
Finally doing a Carolina pick.
I told you, it's way behind.
All right, so again, right now, the situation with the Jets has turned to pretty good overall because with the next 3 picks, they could still end up with a solid edge rusher. They could still end up with a hybrid safety that they didn't have to take at 4, but they could get at 10. And they could still end up with it. By the way, the edge rusher they could end up with could be Jermaine Johnson, which is a really good.
Could Jermaine Johnson go 7? Could the Giants double down on defensive linemen?
I mean, anything's possible, but again, like I said, if that happens, it's the biggest.
We'd all be shocked, but
it just would be ridiculous. So Seattle is so desperate for an offensive lineman too, and Atlanta doesn't really need an offensive lineman. So,
well, Atlanta has needs across the board.
yeah. So, but offensive line is they could go another year without. They have Caleb McGarry at right tackle. So Seattle looks like they'd probably get one of the two offensive linemen. Giants
I
will
would
get
think
the
it's
other
probably
one.
Cross.
What?
I think it's probably Cross unless the Giants go Cross over Neal.
And then Atlanta just depends on whether or not they're going to go quarterback
Could
or wide
Atlanta
receiver or edge rusher.
Could Atlanta take Hamilton at 8?
No, because there's no way you take a player like that when you suck. That's just not a player you take when you suck like Atlanta. They have so many other needs. You can't take a guy that runs a 4.59 when you suck. You just can't. You need difference makers.
Keep sucking, which, well, I wouldn't say Hamilton's not a difference maker, right?
Yeah, but he needs help around him, and Atlanta has nothing on defense. I mean, their defense is just, they got one guy, I think. They got Grady Jarrett still, and that's it. I mean, they make the Jets defense look right now look like we're one of the best in the league. That's how bad Atlanta's defense is.
The rumor is the Giants are selecting Evan Neal at 7.
Well, I mean, is that the pick? Is that how you look at it? I don't want to hear rumors. Did they take the pick?
Jordan, one of the guys is reporting the Giants are going. So
these
to take
are the guys.
Evan Neal.
This is how you get it.
Okay. Yes.
So Neal's going to go to the Giants, which again makes a lot of sense. All right, so there you go. So Atlanta, the big question is going to be with Seattle sitting there with Cross, that they're desperately hoping Cross is there. And Atlanta, do they go quarterback, wide receiver, or edge rusher? Which means that chances are the Jets will get Hamilton at 10 or Johnson.
Correct.
If they go wide receiver, unless it's Jamison Williams, I'm on the record right now. I do not want to see Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave or even London. I do not want to see one of those guys when you could get Johnson or Hamilton. I do not want to see that. Now, I'm not saying that it's not going to be fun for Zach Wilson to throw the ball around and a lot of these weapons. It will be fun, but you just don't build a team that way.
Let me ask you this way. Obviously we have no idea. If the Giants had taken Neal at 5, right? Do you think Carolina would have taken Thibodeau at 6 or still stayed with the offensive lineman?
Oh, no, definitely still stay with the offensive lineman. I know they need.
So
yeah, it was always Carolina quarterback or offensive line. That's what it was always.
So the order they selected them in is probably no different than the way it would have panned out if they had inversed the 2 picks.
The Giants?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And the way they went, you do wonder, they probably just valued and understood that Thibodeau, again, we all knew it. He was the last third elite edge rusher, and then there was a gap to Johnson, and then a bigger gap to, say, Karlaftis and the others. So you had to figure the Giants were like, we just can't. There's not that much of a big gap between Ekwonu and Neal. So let's go ahead and get Thibodeau. So that made more sense for the Giants to do that.
Yep.
So the Giants worked out. They got right now, they got to be feeling really good about their draft. They get one of the top. They might have the top player in the draft. I mean, this whole Thibodeau. I remember watching Thibodeau for the last couple of years, and it was almost a foregone conclusion that unless it was a quarterback, that he was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. And then what happens, which is what always happens, is when a guy is supposed to be the number 1 guy for so long, they start chipping away at him.
Always.
Let's find ways to make sure that he's not as good as they say he is. But Giants could end up with the best player in the draft right now with Thibodeau.
Could be.
All right, so Neal just went.
So I'm asking you, you would have taken Thibodeau over Gardner or no?
Well, again, I mean, honestly, because I like edge rushers, yes. But as long as they get the next edge rusher, because I'm not going to evaluate everything until it's over. As long as they have to get another impact edge rusher. Because if they don't, then my answer to you would have been no, I would have taken Thibodeau.
I mean, I just love all the people saying the Giants crushed it, right? And they did. They got 2 great picks. But honestly, Greg, almost anybody would have made those 2 picks. Right? It's not like they
can't screw this up.
Went off the board so much and said, "Oh, we're going so far off the board. I mean, most people as GMs would have taken those guys.
That's the thing. That's why even Joe Douglas said it the other day. He was like, "Oh, we're happy. You know, we what did he say? We like 12 guys or 10 guys or something like that. We'll be happy with any one of them," because he's right. They're all like as good as the other one.
Don't that happen to see by Seattle continuing to win, right? It pushed them down with that second pick. That was the only impact. As opposed to them being like, they have Seattle's pick. The second pick is Seattle's pick.
Who are you talking about?
The Jets.
Okay.
The Jets have Seattle's second pick, right? The only difference is Seattle kept winning, so as opposed to the Jets maybe having the 7th or 8th pick, because Seattle kept winning and pushed them down to 10. So you have to wait now. That's the only difference.
So who's next? Atlanta.
Atlanta.
And they haven't nothing yet?
Nope.
All right. So unless they do something that I'm not expecting, like going with Hamilton,
or could
offensive
trade down,
line,
or they could trade down because they have so many needs, they may want to get more picks to bolster their roster.
And now would have to be for a team that wants a quarterback. So
you would think yes, unless it's a team that wants an offensive lineman and views Cross that highly.
That's possible.
Or it's a team that,
if they want to jump Seattle,
trading up to get Hamilton, but
no, that would make more. Again, not Hamilton. Cross would make a lot of sense because everybody knows that Seattle wants them. So if somebody wants to jump Seattle for the lineman, that would make sense. I don't really think you're going to see any trades, though, to tell you the truth. Again, because of the fact that these guys are all so closely talented, it just does not make sense to trade up in this draft. That's why everybody wants to trade down.
By the way, I don't know if you saw, not that it's a big deal, but Revis is announcing the Jets' second-round pick tomorrow.
So, odds that the Jets trade back into the first round.
Oh boy, it's hard to say it at the
odds
7 picks in.
Yeah, but we know what the players are.
I will go 60-40. They trade back in.
Ooh, so you really believe?
I think Douglas is going to see somebody he likes late, and doesn't think he'll make it all the way to him at 35, and he does not going to take the chance of waiting.
You know who the wild card could be, even though I don't really think it's necessary, but the wild card would be if they wanted to trade back up and get Linderbaum.
Interesting. Okay.
I just don't think it's necessary because McGovern definitely turned a corner last year, and with those two guards alongside him now, he's definitely going to be fine.
Drake London to the Atlanta Falcons.
There you go. So London's off.
And the way it got announced by one person is London calling the Falcons. So that's how some people are getting away with it, by not stating that they're explicitly taking him, but it's the intimation that they're taking him. It's like Woj with the NFL.
Dude, as long as every time you hear about these picks, you're 100%. I don't need to hear rumors.
There's 5 people reporting that it's going to be London. I'm pretty confident.
There you go.
All right, so Seattle is likely going to take Cross,
which means the Jets can take Johnson or Williams.
Is it double your pleasure? Is it double your pleasure? Double your fun for the defensive backfield now?
Just imagine that, Hamilton and Gardner.
Or is it Johnson? Are you taking Johnson?
Honestly, I think that the way they'll look at it is there's no other Hamilton in this draft. We can take another edge rusher with our second-round pick.
So again, you asked me about trading up, right? They go Hamilton here. I think it increases the potential they trade up in the first round, because they may not want to take a chance. Yep, the back end of the first round.
That's possible, sure. Because once you get back into, as far as the remaining edge rushers that are the most exciting, obviously we just mentioned Karlaftis and Johnson, but Johnson should be the next guy. Okay, so after that, you have Boye Mafe, who's for me, he's more of a situational pass rusher. That's what he is. That's why he's a bona fide second-round pick. He's not the type of guy you trade up, though, and get. Or at least I don't think so. Bikiti, the kid from Penn State, again, I don't think he's also. I think there's 2 guys I could see the Jets trading up for if they were in that spot. One would be Karlaftis. Okay. If Karlaftis was still on the board,
slide that far,
it's possible. Yeah, if he was still what I'm talking like 25, 20 to 25.
Okay.
Okay. The other guy would be David Ojabo.
That's the one I'm thinking who they're going to trade up for as a Ojabo.
Because I think teams want Ojabo in the first round so they get the extra 50-year option due to his injury. So most likely he's going to go in the first round, I would think.
And I'm thinking it's Ojabo who's going to be the guy they trade up to get late.
All right.
If he's still there.
If he's still there, sure. Yeah. I'm surprised Seattle's taken this long.
They may have told him to wait a little bit so they can get more.
Yeah, but they don't do that on Twitter.
Okay. Well, this way, if you believe Michael Silver, they're taking Cross.
Yeah, well, again, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it has to be Hamilton. I think it has to be.
I'm going to go really honestly coin flip between Hamilton and Johnson. I could see them going Johnson, but again,
if they don't go Hamilton.
Robert Saleh has used the term unicorn for Kyle Hamilton, right? They're not taking an offensive lineman here because there's none of the big three are still left.
Nope.
I don't think they're taking a wide receiver.
No, I would be surprised.
Because I think London might have been the guy. Though,
unless it's Williams.
Williams from Alabama could be the guy.
Unless it's Williams, yeah. So it would be Williams, Hamilton, or Johnson.
Correct.
So those are
all right. Place your bets.
I'm going to say Hamilton. So
I'm going to say Jermaine Johnson. Just have a gut hunch. Look, as a Notre Dame fan, I know how good Hamilton is. I would be ecstatic to get Hamilton because honestly, your defensive backfield becomes really good. But then, who are the odd men out then in your defensive backfield?
Again, he's not a. That's the great part about Hamilton. He's really not a defensive back.
Right. You can put him as a linebacker.
I view him more as a linebacker. And that's where the Jets have issues because they have Mosley and a bunch of young guys. And let's keep in mind, those young guys.
Jets are on the clock.
Let's keep in mind, you can go ahead and make the pick. And let's let's keep in mind that these young guys that the Jets are excited about, they're all late round draft picks. So Robert Saleh can talk all he wants about how much he likes Najee and the other kid, and Sherwood. But the fact is, these are all later round picks. And the Jets have a major. They need another really good, player in that box. And boy, Hamilton would. He would really. And you know what? If the Jets don't draft Hamilton, then I think he might really slide, because that would mean if the Jets don't want him, then teams are really scared off by his 40 time.
Yep, agreed.
So he's another one that might have a long wait if the Jets don't pick him. So when you announce the pick, just let me know if it's you got to start off by saying, okay, is it either going to be Jameis Williams, Johnson, or Hamilton, or not? So is it one of those three or not? That's how you're gonna start it off.
So either it's Johnson,
Hamilton, or Jameis and Williams, or not.
So I will say I will lead off by either saying it is or is not
Correct.
One of the three.
Yes.
Okay.
And the only thing I could think of
the only thing I can wonder is if they're scared off by the ACL tear and the fact that he won't be ready to start the season when it comes to Williams.
Again, yeah, that's.
I mean, could Wilson be in play here?
Yeah, that's what I'm scared of. I really don't want a receiver when you can get those other guys. Even though, again, I'm not going to complain, just that I just would be surprised. They have such a needed edge rusher, and for a guy like Hamilton, that if they were to go with a guy like Wilson, that he better be a huge addition. Oh, we didn't talk about we didn't talk about the positive news that we've heard so far regarding Mr. Mims.
Yes, I was going to bring it up. The fact that he's supposedly who he's working out with and the progress he's made.
So that was nice. I mean, it's still just summer, but It's a positive sign that he seems to be kicking ass and seems mentally into it, which again, that's going to be the case when Joe Douglas makes his picks. That's why you love what Joe Douglas with the players he brings in, because he's always going to bring in players that are going to work hard and they're not going to give up. And when things aren't going well, they're going to just keep fighting and fighting. And this is, boy, what an addition that would be if Mims could wind up being like the receiver we hoped he was going to be.
It would be huge because we had high hopes for him.
Because then he could be that number 4 receiver that we're trying to trade for or, trying to draft.
Agreed.
Even though I still think the Jets are going to draft a receiver at some point, second or third round.
I think if they don't take one now, I'm guessing like a 4th or 5th round guy is who they'll take.
So we're not talking again until Sunday, correct? Sunday morning.
Unless something happens late today.
That's true. So Sunday morning, that's where we're going to wrap everything up. And what is do you have something that shows what the Jets have draft capital?
Shouldn't be Ourlads should have had it originally, shouldn't they?
Oh yeah, you're probably right. It is in there probably.
I would assume.
I haven't even looked at my own reports in here yet. I had spent all my time looking at all the scouting reports myself. Forgot where they put the draft capital for the teams.
I thought it's in the middle somewhere. So, yeah, the Jets have 4, 10, 35, 38, 69, 111, 117, 146 to 163.
Wait, let me make sure I got this right with the Jets. Okay, so it's 69, and then what after 69?
111.
Okay.
117.
What is that, 4th round?
4th round.
Oh, they have 2 in the 4th?
Correct.
That's nice.
One from Carolina, one from Minnesota.
And then what's after that?
146, which is the 5th round.
146 in the 5th.
Yep, and 163 in the 6th. In the 5th. Sorry, 146 is the 5th. 163 is the 5th.
140.
And that's it.
146 in the 5th.
And 163. They don't have a 6th. They don't have a 7th.
163 in the 6th.
They don't have any in the 6th or any in the 7th.
Oh, they're both in the 5th.
Both in the 5th.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, that's nice to have. I'd rather have 2 4ths and 2 5ths than a 6th and a 7th. That works out well.
Yep.
That's good. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more players. And we talked about this before. They have so many young guys on this team that they are definitely going to use some of these picks to move up. Because they need quality over quantity now.
Correct.
So
they need both. But.
Yeah, but they definitely. By the way, Seattle just made the pick on TV. The Jets have got to be making a pick any second now.
Yeah, and the cross one, supposedly they weren't sure who Seattle was taking. Then they were sure. Then they weren't sure. And they were sure. So it just took forever to get that pick in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. Because it was so obvious. It had to be TV related. Had to be.
Could be.
By the way, let's also make this a point. Let this be the last time we will sit here on draft night and be all like giddy and excited about us taking picks early in the draft. Are we agreed on that?
Yes.
Okay. So starting next year, we're going to be somewhere after 15. So we're going to be somewhere between 15 and 20, maybe in there. So and then it's it. And we're not coming back down to the top 10 for a long time. So this is it. This is the last year that we're going to be in this situation. That's how we have to think about this. Because that's how we have to think about it and believe it. I'm surprised they haven't put the pick in because it says the Jets only have 5 minutes left, and it's been like 7 minutes since you said cross. Unless the Jets are trying to trade down. Maybe Pittsburgh's calling them.
Maybe.
Interesting. So at least we know there's no offensive lineman. This really makes it simple. I mean, there's really no debate on what this is going to be. We know it's either wide receiver, Hamilton, Johnson.
Correct.
That's it.
Well, I'm going to guess it's probably Wilson, Hamilton, Johnson. Well, Wilson or Williams, Hamilton or Johnson.
Yeah, Wilson,
are the four
Williams,
guys who are in the
Hamilton, or
mix.
Johnson. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It would be nice to get Jameson Williams, wouldn't it? As long
if
as he was
they
healthy.
really believe he is right. Right.
That's the least thing we need is to spend an early round pick on a receiver who winds up with because Jameson Williams does have the kind of frame that is susceptible to these types of injuries, especially since he does so many cutting. So
there is whispers as to who the Jets are taking.
All right. So, and this is pretty much how it works. All right.
It is one of the four we just discussed.
I told you not to say 4, but you've already said 4 now.
It's one of the 4 we discussed.
All right.
Which one of the 4?
Well, I told you who I thought.
Who do you think?
I think it's Hamilton.
It's not.
Oh, boy, Hamilton. Stock. Damn.
Okay.
All right.
Next guess.
So it's Johnson or the 2 receivers.
Yep.
Ooh. Okay. Johnson.
Nope.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. Zach Wilson's got somebody to throw to. You know what? They're not going to pick Williams. I know it. They're going to pick Wilson, aren't they?
They're picking Wilson.
I knew it. Well, again, like I said, at least it's going to be fun to have these receivers at Zach Wilson's disposal. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Now, I personally would have probably gone for Hamilton or Johnson. As much as I like Wilson, and as much as look, Wilson can burn. I mean, there's no question about that.
He's going to be very good. That's why I said I'm not complaining about the player.
And there is by the way, supposedly the Jets considered Wilson at 4.
Well, thank God they didn't do that.
Right, but they knew Gardner wouldn't slip there.
Oh, let's just now. How does this sound when you're drafting? You were able to get, and look, I know that some people like Stingley, but most people like Gardner. The Jets pretty much have gotten the top corner and the top wide receiver in the draft. That's pretty good.
Yep, that is true.
So, yeah, you know what? Like I said, I mean, here's the thing with passing on Williams. Like I said, I think there are injury concerns. So because of that, they were probably a little bit susceptible. We don't know if that's going to work out. So, okay, I trust them that they trust their doctors. Then when it comes to Hamilton, look, this just means that this kid has got some issues because of his speed. There are teams that just do not believe that he's going to be the type of player in the NFL based on his speed. So, because
we'll see what happens if Washington.
By the way, the Jets just put the pick on television.
I told you it's slow.
No. This was combined. The minutes just got shrunk. You just told me 2 minutes ago when it went on TV. They were like 7 minutes behind, like 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't care. Who cares about that? Because the Jets' picks are over. So, yes, the Jets potentially get the top corner and wide receiver in the draft, which means when we're looking at, unless they trade back into the first round, it's definitely going to be edge rusher.
Yep.
If they don't take an edge rusher in round 2, I'm going to flip. Because really, since they didn't take an offensive lineman, I guess they could still do that. If they don't believe in Adoga, they can get an insurance policy in the second round. Okay, so skill positions are gone now. Correct? No more skill positions early. So no running back, no tight end, no wide receiver. So, and since we don't need a quarterback.
Here we go. There is a trade in the NFL.
Oh, was it Washington was 11?
Yep.
Was it Pittsburgh?
Nope. But you're thinking along the right lines there. Who else needs a quarterback?
Was it the Saints?
There you go.
Interesting.
Could this be Kenny Pickett?
Dude, I'm going to make this, and I'm going to say this a lot over the next few days, and you'll know. But you're not going to be on the NFL shows, so I'm telling you right straight up, Malik Willis is never going to be a good player in the NFL. Never.
Okay.
So whoever drafts him, and if New Orleans moves up to draft Willis, they're making a monumental mistake. So, but I think you're right. I think Pickett makes a lot more sense. Even I guess it just depends on how crazy these GMs are about Willis.
You ready for this one? So according to one of the guys from the Sacramento papers,
Jamison Williams,
the Jets. No, the Jets had offered.
Oh, I don't want to hear this
10,
stuff.
Wait, the number 10 and another pick for Debo, and the Niners turned it down.
Bullshit. So
okay,
whatever. I even said it before you said it.
All right,
I don't want to hear this thing.
Do you think that they are trading up to take Kenny Pickett?
I just think they're trading up to get a quarterback. I don't know. To me, Willis might actually make more sense to their offense. I just think Pickett's obviously better.
Okay.
But if I had
the Saints are trading the 16th pick, a 3rd rounder, and a 4th rounder to move up 5 spots.
Okay, so that's not that bad then.
No, that's not a huge haul if you think about it.
So then, if whoever they draft, if it's a quarterback, either guy, it's not like they're mortgaging the farm.
Right. But if they take Pickett, Pittsburgh is.
Yeah, but Pittsburgh has been tied to Willis as well for a long time. So.
Yeah, but they were more tied to Pickett.
Oh. So, all right. So again, let's wrap this up. And we don't need to. This is a Jet show.
That's fine.
NFL draft is over.
So,
okay. So,
are you happy with what they've done?
Offensively, we know the only other early pick that they need to make is another insurance offensive tackle. Okay, we're agreed on
which
that.
You could get in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's it for offense. Offensive tackle insurance. That's it. Early rounds. Correct. Agreed.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Defense. No cornerbacks, but safety.
Nope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's safety, right tackle, edge rusher, and linebacker. Because they can use another linebacker now, since they need somebody else.
So in the 2nd round, I would think target numero uno's got to be an edge rusher.
And again, and it's good that hopefully the longer Johnson drops, the better it is because everybody else drops. So you have Johnson, Mafe, Ebiketie. Obviously, you got David Ojabo. And for me, I think where the Jets are picking, I think that's it. No other guys are worth early 2nd round. So again, keep that in mind. Johnson, Mafe, Ebiketie, Ojabo. Once you get, and Karlaftis, excuse me, I need to include him. So those are the only guys that the Jets would take early 2nd round. If they take anybody else, it would be a surprise. Now, I actually like Cam Thomas from San Diego State, but he's not supposed to go that high. Okay, so then we look at safeties. And since no safeties are going to be taken early, the Jets could end up with the 1st or 2nd safety on the board. Because when I was going over my mock draft, there's just a lot of teams that really don't need safeties or they're not really supposed to go in the 1st round. Oh, how about this? Ready? How about he slips and the Jets trade up for Hamilton?
How far up do you trade?
It would have to be like in the 20s.
Yeah, I would be pretty stunned. Well, let's say to go from 16 to 11 in the 1st round, they gave up an 11. They gave up their 1st rounder, which is a wash, and a 3rd and a 4th, right? So if you're going to go, let's say from 35 to let's say 23, let's just throw a number out there,
which probably is equal.
Do you have to give up 2 2nd rounders to move up to 23? Do you have to give up 35 and 38 to go to 23? Or is that too much?
Maybe a 2nd and a 3rd.
So you give up
maybe a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 5th.
So you go up 35, 69, and let's say 146, let's say, to go up to 23.
What'd you just say?
35, 69, and 146 to go up to, let's say,
That
23.
sounds good to me. Yeah. If they, and again, it could be for Hamilton, it could be for Jabo, could be for Jermaine Johnson if he slips.
I think Ajabu is probably their first target, but who knows?
Okay, so now safeties. So let's say Hamilton's obviously off the board. Okay, now you've got Brisker. You have Lewis Seen from Georgia.
Wow, Saints traded up to take a wide receiver.
Jameson Williams?
Nope. Chris Olave.
Wow. I had Olave going to the Saints just where they were picking.
That's. I'm a little surprised.
Well, they needed a receiver, but I didn't think it would.
But still.
I didn't think it was Olave.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. So Daxton Hill, Brisker, and Lewis Seen, and maybe no. You know what? I'll stop there. Those are the only three safeties that the Jets should pick value-wise. Okay. So again, Jaquan Brisker, Lewis Seen, and Daxton Hill. So that's if the Jets are picking a safety, and if any of those players are available, the Jets could pick one of those safeties.
So we can take Ourlads' projections and pretty much throw them out the window?
What do you mean projections?
You see their mock draft?
No, their mock draft doesn't. You have to look at their rankings.
Yep.
Yeah, mock drafts are. All right. So, here's a guy I'd love to get. And he could be available. Ready?
Good.
Linebacker. Two of them. I don't think they'll both be available, but one could be.
Quay Walker?
No, I don't. To me, I think he's overrated. Nakobe Dean and Devin Lloyd.
Okay.
So one of those guys could be available. And I'd be head over heels if the Jets got either player. Because Devin Lloyd is just a production machine, while Nakobe Dean is just, I mean, the only knock on Dean is he's so small. But, okay, so Dean and Lloyd at linebacker. And then if you are talking about other linebackers that would be available, Quay Walker, as you mentioned, Chad Muma from Wyoming, Christian Harris from Alabama, Leo Chenal from Wisconsin, Channing Tyndall from Georgia, and Damone Clark from LSU. And by the way, there's a lot of talented linebackers in this draft.
The Lions have traded up for the 12th pick.
Okay. Maybe they want a quarterback.
12 and 46 for 32, 34, and 66. That's not a lot.
Well, it's probably Hamilton then.
Are you trading up to go get Hamilton?
There were a lot of people who thought the Lions were taking Hamilton 2 weeks ago. So now that he's dropped. Yeah,
I guess teams are going to trade up, but
I would say Hamilton.
Interesting.
Because I don't think they're taking a quarterback. I think they like what Goff did at the end of the season, and I think they're just willing to give Goff at least another year. So they probably just pick another quarterback,
unless they take a development quarterback that they.
No, what I'm saying is,
for a year.
What did they give up? Did they give up the second rounder?
They gave up the first pick in the second round. Hold on. The Jets picked. No, they gave up the last pick in the first round. And the second pick in the second round.
So they gave up those two premium picks.
32, 34, and 66 to get 12 and 46.
It's got to be a quarterback. I would think so. I mean, because I thought they were going to take a quarterback in the early second round. Now they're not going to take a quarterback at all?
They could be taking Willis.
That's what I'm saying. I would think they're going to take a quarterback.
Right, which then makes...
No, it's either Pickett or Willis.
Does that force Pittsburgh to trade up to get one?
All right, so those are the linebackers.
So I think. Oh no! We were both wrong.
What do they want?
Who is the other guy we were talking a lot about to the Jets?
Johnson?
Nope, the other one.
The other
wide receiver
Jameson
run
Williams?
Continues. That's the rumor.
Good for them.
Was that 4 wide receivers in a 5-pick span.
Oh, good. Yeah, good for them. I'm telling you right now, and I said this last year.
So that basically it's gone London, Cross, Wilson, Olave, Williams. That's. I don't think anybody would have predicted 4 wide receivers in a 5-pick span.
I agree. I wouldn't have either. It just shows you how the NFL is just pass happy now, especially
given the new rules,
especially
right?
with
given
the Rams
new rules.
winning a Super Bowl and how they play. So the Jets are in really good shape at linebacker. There's a ton of linebackers they could pick. So I went over those.
So are you going defensive lineman, linebacker in the second round, and go the offensive lineman in the third round?
All right. The only offensive lineman tackles. First of all, the ones that are left. What's his name? The tackle from Northern Iowa. He's going to be gone.
Lindenbaum?
What did you just say?
Lindenbaum will be gone.
Well, Trevor Penning's going to be gone. I think the other guys will be available. Bernard Raymond may be available. Tyler Smith, Abraham Lucas.
But but in the second round, are you going?
Yeah, those 3 guys are the only 3 guys that you would take.
Right, but I don't know if you're taking him in the second round or you're waiting for a third round for an offensive lineman.
Nah, if you're not taking these guys, I don't think once you get to the third round, I don't like the lineman after that. Okay. They'd have to really like someone. They'd have to say they targeted someone that they really feel is a good fit for them that I'm obviously not aware of. But talent-wise, prospect-wise, if they don't go with Lucas, Smith, or Raymond, because Penning's going to definitely be gone, I would guess. And Penning's another guy that, if the Jets wanted to trade up and get a tackle, if they were real serious, he's that talented that there's a big difference between Penning and then the rest of the tackles left on the board. And then, Mike, we talked about center, but I don't see that happening. And I think that's it. I think I went over all the players. I went over the safeties. I went over the linebackers. We talked about the edge rushers, and then we just talked about the tackles. So there you go.
And
all those players.
And by the way, another trade.
Okay.
Philly moved up 2 spots. They traded with Texans. They gave up 13. They gave up 15, and they gave up like a 4th and 2 6 to move up 2 spots.
Well, I had Philly going with a wide receiver, number 1, or I was thinking they're going to get what's his name, the center from Iowa.
Could it be Hamilton?
Who?
Could they go Kyle Hamilton at 13?
I don't think so. I think they need a center. They need a guard. They need a wide receiver. Well, then they need defensive backs.
There's no wide receiver left that you'd probably pick now.
Yeah, who was the next wide receiver on the board? Because they're all gone. Let's see. George Pickens, Sky Moore, John Mechie.
Right,
and Johan Dotson.
But are you trading up to get one of those guys?
Well, again, Philly needs receivers. But they still have their other first-round pick, don't they?
Yeah, but I'm saying is you trading? Do you have to trade up 2 spots to get the wide receiver? This one of the wide
receivers?
Probably
not. No, you could probably get it with your other pick.
Yeah,
that's why I was thinking it could be. Look, Hamilton might make sense just based on that theory. They're
not taking a quarterback.
Maybe they want Penning, the tackle.
They could take a tackle. They're not taking the quarterback. That's for sure.
No.
Right. Every pick that goes by, Pittsburgh starts getting a little happier.
This is not a surprise. Once Pickett went past Carolina, the fact of Pittsburgh being able to get one of those 2 guys became a lot more clear. So yeah, I mean, it could be Penning, it could be the center from Iowa, it could be. Again, yeah. Since Philadelphia still has what, the 18th pick?
The 19th. 1 pick ahead of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so Philly can go wide receiver there. Other than that, yeah, I can't see anything else. So Hamilton. Now the other corner's still available, McDuffie. And there was some talk about McDuffie going in the top 15. And there's a drop between McDuffie
or you know what? Maybe they're taking Jermaine Johnson.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, that could definitely be the pick. Yep. It's not one of their top needs, but he could be too valuable for them to pass up because Brandon Graham's getting old.
Yep.
And they do have the other kid. What's his name? Barnett, I think it is. But they need another young guy because.
Oh no. Did Johnson slip? Continue. Supposedly they're taking Jordan Davis.
Oh, the big fat run stuffing defensive tackle.
Yep.
Wow. Who did they trade up to get over? Oh, the Chargers might have wanted him.
Hold on. They traded over Baltimore, basically.
Yes, Baltimore would have wanted him. Yep. That's smart.
Yep.
Yeah. Baltimore and the Chargers would have wanted him, but Baltimore makes sense to jump over them. Yeah, because Baltimore desperately needs young defensive linemen and edge rushers. So Baltimore can go after Jermaine Johnson.
That great. Just we need Baltimore getting another defensive lineman that pans out. When does that ever happen?
And I mean, the kid Owe and Johnson can team up to be like the next superstars.
Yep.
That's okay.
All
right, man. So overall, we're not going to really know how this draft's going to go until we talk again on Sunday because it's too early to evaluate.
Unless they make a move later.
If they make a move later, we will have an emergency reconnection.
We'll have the red siren going off.
You know, I'll have to take off my sleeping mask and my I have to get my cats off of me and get the covers off and start the computer. And, it'll take me like 20 minutes just to get ready so we could talk for 2 minutes. So, but it looks like, chances are we'll talk again on Sunday. Fact is, as I said, look, the Jets got the number one receiver in the draft. You can say they got the number one corner in the draft. And who knows? Maybe they do something really interesting.
And by the way, there's two other things they got. Speed.
Absolutely.
Speed.
Absolutely.
Something we needed. Speed.
Boy, man. Gardner, I loved Gardner. I just didn't think the Jets were going to do that.
By the way, Greg, have you seen the bling he was wearing yet?
No.
Go online. Just do me a favor. Go take a look at the thing he was wearing around his neck.
How did he get something like that? Oh, he had they have the new.
It's in advance.
They have those. No, they got those things now.
NILs. Yeah. NILs.
But that's going to be awesome, man. To have a player like Gardner. What's great about Gardner is, and why I like him over Stingley, is because he's an all-around corner. He's equally good at stopping the run. And that's the type of guy that you put him on an island, if you want to. See, that's why I was also not sure that they were going to go that route, because the Jets play a lot of zone, and he's a press corner. So I was a little bit thinking that he wouldn't go that route. But hey, man, to have a corner now, he's clearly going to be our Darrelle Revis type.
Well, that's the guy he looks up to.
Which is awesome. And now Revis can give him pointers. Because when does Revis get to the Hall of Fame? You have any idea?
He has to be retired, 3 years?
I don't know.
I think it's 3 years.
So he's got another year or two.
No, hold on. Is it 3 years or 5? Maybe 5.
So two or three more years.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be a first ballot, no doubt, Hall of Famer.
Do we have anybody else besides Revis that's going to go into the Hall of Fame, in the coming years with our jersey?
Who I think should be.
You know what?
And who's not in.
Maybe they will actually put in Klecko that year. Maybe they're going to wait until Revis goes in.
Klecko should have been in already. I've been beating the drum for years that Klecko should be in already. It's a crime that he's not in.
That's why until they do it, it's a joke. Well, so maybe they're going to wait until Revis goes in.
It's also the lack of transparency in terms of how the process works. That's my bigger issue.
No question.
And you think the NFL's bad? Hockey's about 5,000 times worse. Hockey, the lack of transparency as to who gets in and why is about 9,000 times worse than the NFL.
And why is that?
Put it this way, does Alex you're a Vancouver fan, Mogilny doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame?
I can't tell you that because of the fact that hockey and basketball. See, I've always been a football first guy, and I know how tough football is, or at least used to be. If you were in the Hall of Fame in the NFL, you were like the elite of the elite. Now it's not the case anymore. And I used to always follow the hockey and the NBA and always used to hear these guys getting in, and I'd be like, that's a Hall of Famer? So it's hard for me to. So to answer your question, then yes, he's a Hall of Famer.
I have about a half a dozen. I have at least a half a dozen guys, if not more, who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because hockey's not that. They're not that tough, are they? On demanding.
No, but it's the number of people that get in is not like a huge number, and then you factor in the builders and everybody else, so that has an impact.
Okay, well, unless we talk again tonight, thanks for doing this. Great job. Looking forward to wrapping up their entire draft on Sunday morning. Because what are we doing it at, like 7:45?
Yeah.
And then you got to book it when?
About 8:20.
Okay, so we're gonna have about half hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go through it, and I'll have as much information as I can bring to the table for that show. And again, let this be the last time that we get excited about sitting down and watching and producing an NFL Draft Jet show. From now on, it's just going to be us sitting there from picks 15 to 32.
From your mouth to the big man's ears, because I think we're all hoping that that's
yeah, it better be. All right, man. Appreciate it.
Right.
I'll talk to you on Sunday morning.
All right. If something breaks, we'll speak later. If not, I'll speak to you Sunday morning.
It is possible. Okay, man.
All right, cool. Later. Bye.